Rest now, weary traveller. Another day is done, and you have journeyed well. Tonight I shall guide you into the realm of timeless Japanese literature, a world of profound beauty, where nostalgia breathes, shadows whisper, and dark, wondrous tales unfold. Leave the waking world behind and surrender to the tide of these words. Dim your screen, lower your volume, and let your eyes gently close. Step now into the beautiful dark of the story. Gon, the Little Fox, by Niimi Nankichi. This is a story I heard when I was a child from an old man in the village named Mohei. Long ago, it is said that there was a small castle in a place called Nakayama near our village, and a lord named Lord Nakayama lived there. A little away from that Nakayama, in the mountains, there was a fox named Gon. Gon was a lonely little fox, and lived in a hole dug in a forest overgrown with ferns. And night or day, he would go out to the neighbouring villages and do nothing but mischief. He would go into the fields and dig up and scatter potatoes, set fire to the dried rapeseed stalks, tear off the red peppers hanging at the back of the farmers' houses and carry them away. He did all sorts of things. It happened one autumn, during a time when it kept raining for 2 or 3 days. Gon could not even go outside and was crouching inside his hole. When the rain stopped, Gon crawled out of his hole feeling relieved. The sky was perfectly clear, and the cries of shrikes were echoing sharply. Gon came out to the embankment of the village's small river. On the nearby pampas grass heads, raindrops were still glistening. The river usually had little water, but with 3 days of rain, the water had suddenly swelled. The pampas grass and bush clover bushes along the riverbank, which were never submerged in ordinary times, were knocked sideways and tossed about by the yellow muddy water. Gon walked along the muddy path toward the downstream. Suddenly looking, there was a person in the river doing something. So as not to be found, Gon softly walked into the deep grass and peeked intently from there. It is Hyoju, Gon thought. Hyoju had rolled up his ragged black kimono, and while immersed in the water up to his waist, he was shaking a net called a harakiri to catch fish. On the side of his face, wrapped with a headband, a single round bush clover leaf was stuck like a large mole. After a while, Hyoju lifted the very back of the harakiri net, which was shaped like a bag, out of the water. Inside it, lawn roots, grass leaves, and rotten pieces of wood were jumbled together. But here and there, white things were glittering. They were the bellies of thick eels and large siligos. Hyoju dumped those eels and siligos into his basket, along with the trash, and then he tied the mouth of the bag again and put it back into the water. Hyoju then took the basket, climbed up from the river, left the basket on the bank, and ran toward the upstream looking for something. Once Hyoju was gone, Gon hopped out from the grass and rushed to the side of the basket. He suddenly wanted to do some mischief. Gon grabbed the fish out of the basket and threw them one after another toward the river downstream from where the harakiri net was set. Every fish dove into the muddy water, making a plop sound. At the very end, he tried to grab a thick eel, but since it was slimy and slipped away, he could not grasp it with his paws. Gon grew frustrated, thrust his head into the basket and clamped his mouth onto the eel's head. The eel made a squeaking sound and wrapped itself around Gon's neck. At that very moment, Ioju shouted from over there, "Hey, thief fox!" Gon jumped up in surprise. He tried to shake off the eel and run, but the eel remained wrapped around Gon's neck and would not come off. Gon leapt sideways just like that and ran away with all his might. Near his den under an alder tree, he looked back, but Ioju was not chasing him. Gon felt relieved, bit through the eel's head to finally remove it, and left it on a leaf of grass outside his hole. About 10 days later, as Gon happened to pass behind the house of a farmer named Yasuke, in the shadow of a fig tree there, Yasuke's wife was applying tooth blackening. When he passed behind the house of Shinbei the blacksmith, Shinbei's wife was combing her hair. Gon thought, something is happening in the village. What could it be? Is it the autumn festival? If it were a festival, one would expect to hear the sounds of drums and flutes. And above all, festival banners should be raised at the shrine. While thinking about this as he walked along, before he knew it, he came to the front of Hyoju's house, which had a red well outside. Inside that small broken-down house, many people were gathered. Women wearing their finest clothes, with hand towels hanging from their waists, were tending the fire at the outdoor stove. Inside a large pot, something was simmering and bubbling. It is a funeral, Gon thought. I wonder who died in Hyoju's house. After midday, Gon went to the village cemetery and hid behind the 6 Jizo statues. The weather was beautiful, and far in the distance, the roof tiles of the castle were shining. In the cemetery, cluster amaryllis flowers kept blooming continuously, like red strips of cloth. Then, from the direction of the village, the sound of a bell came ringing. Clack, clack. It was the signal for the funeral procession to start. Soon, the people in the funeral procession, dressed in white clothing, began to be seen faintly approaching. The voices of their talking grew closer. The procession entered the cemetery. After the people passed by, the cluster amaryllis flowers were trampled down. Gon stretched up to look. Hyoju was wearing a white ceremonial dress and holding a memorial tablet. His face, which was usually as energetic as a red sweet potato, looked somehow withered today. The one who died was Hyoju's mother. Thinking so, Gon pulled his head back down. That night, Gon thought inside his hole. Hyoju's mother must have been sick in bed and said she wanted to eat eel. That is why Hyoju brought out the harikiri net. But I did that mischief and ended up taking the eel away. Therefore, Hyoju could not feed the eel to his mother. She must have died just like that. She must have died while thinking, I want to eat eel. I want to eat eel. I should not have done such mischief. Hyoju was washing barley at the red well. Until now, Hyoju had lived a poor life alone with his mother. And now that his mother was dead, He was all by himself. Hyoju is all alone, just like me, Gon thought as he watched from behind the tool shed here. As Gon left the side of the tool shed and was about to head over there, he heard a voice somewhere selling sardines.
Sardines on cheap sale. Fresh sardines.
Gon ran toward that lively voice. Then Yasuke's wife said from the back door, "Give me some sardines." The sardine seller left his cart loaded with baskets of sardines by the roadside, grabbed the glittering sardines with both hands, and went inside Yasuke's house. Taking advantage of that moment, Gon snatched 5 or 6 sardines out of the basket and ran back the way he had come. Then he threw the sardines into the house from Hyoju's back door and ran back toward his hole. Looking back from the top of the hill along the way, he could see Hyoju still small, washing barley at the well. Gon thought that he had done one good thing, for a start, to make up for the eel. The next day, Gon gathered a large bundle of chestnuts in the mountains and went to Hyoju's house carrying them. Peeking in from the back door, Hyoju was in the middle of eating his midday meal, holding his rice bowl and staring blankly into space, deep in thought. Strangely, there was a scratch on Hyoju's cheek. While Gon was wondering what had happened, Hyoju muttered to himself, "Who on earth threw sardines into my house? Thanks to that, I was thought to be a thief, and the sardine seller gave me a terrible time." Gon thought, "Oh no, I messed up." Poor Hyoju had been beaten up by the sardine seller and even ended up with a wound like that. Thinking this over, Gon quietly went around to the tool shed and left the chestnuts at its entrance before going home. The next day and the day after that, Gon gathered chestnuts and brought them to Hyoju's house. On the day after that, he brought not only chestnuts, but also 2 or 3 matsutake mushrooms. It was a fine moonlit night. Gon went out for a casual stroll. After walking a little past the castle of Lord Nakayama, it seemed like someone was coming from the other side of the narrow path. Voices could be heard. Pine crickets were singing, "Chincharorin, Chincharorin." Gon hid on one side of the path and stayed perfectly still. The voices gradually grew closer. It was Hyoju and a farmer named Kasuke. "That reminds me. Hey, Kasuke," Hyoju said. "Uh-huh. Lately something very strange has been happening to me." "What is it?" "Ever since my mother died, someone, I don't know who, has been giving me chestnuts and matsutake mushrooms every single day." Who? "I just don't know. They leave them without my knowledge." Gon followed behind the 2 of them. "Is that true?" "It's true. If you think it's a lie, come see tomorrow. I'll show you those chestnuts." What a strange thing to happen. After that, the 2 walked along in silence. Kasuke suddenly looked back. Gon startled and stood still, making himself small. Kasuke did not notice Gon and just kept walking quickly. When they came to the house of a farmer named Kichibe, the 2 went inside. A wooden fish drum was making a pon 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 sound. Light was shining through the paper sliding window, and a large bald head was reflecting and moving inside. Gon thought, "They are holding a Buddhist prayer service," and crouched down by the well. After a while, about 3 more people entered Kichibei's house together. The sound of chanting sutras began to be heard. Gon crouched by the well until the prayer service ended. Hyoju and Kasuke started walking back together again. Gon followed them, wanting to hear their conversation. He walked along, stepping on Hyoju's shadow. When they came in front of the castle, Kasuke spoke up. "About that story from earlier, surely that must be the work of a god." "Eh?" Hyoju said, surprised, and looked at Kasuke's face. "I've been thinking about it ever since, but that's definitely not a human. It's a god. A god felt pity that you were left all alone, and is blessing you with various things. I wonder if that's so." "It is, so you should thank the god every day." "Yeah." Gon thought, "Gee, this is really disappointing. Even though I am the one bringing him the chestnuts and matsutake mushrooms. He doesn't thank me, but thanks a god instead. It's just not worth it for me." The next day as well, Gon went out to Hyoju's house with chestnuts. Hyoju was in the tool shed twisting straw ropes, so Gon quietly slipped inside through the back door of the house. At that moment, Hyoju happened to look up, and there was a fox slipping into the house. That damn thief fox, Gon, who stole the eel the other day, has come to do mischief again. All right. Hyoju stood up, took the matchlock gun hanging in the barn, and loaded it with gunpowder. Then, stealing closer with quiet footsteps, he shot Gon. Bang! Just as Gon was about to leave the doorway. Gon fell with a thud. Hyoju rushed over. Looking inside the house, a pile of chestnuts left on the dirt floor caught his eye. "Oh!" Hyoju gasped, dropping his eyes to Gon in surprise. "Gon, was it you? The one who always gave me the chestnuts?" Gon nodded, keeping his eyes closed limply. Hyoju dropped the matchlock gun with a clatter. Blue smoke was still coming out thinly from the muzzle. The tale is told. The curtain falls. Wrapped in the lingering echoes of this night, let yourself drift into a deep, serene, and boundless sleep. May the morrow bring you grace and peace. Until then, good night.